If you're the Indiana Pacers, you understand you're in a rebuild, right? The Pacers in the 2010s were always a playoff team, but subject to the fact that the East was always inferior. Put them in the West, they would have missed the playoffs more than they had, and recently, they've done just barely enough to stay relevant. They weren't a team that didn't tank last year, but they definitely weren't a playoff team, and they couldn't even make the play-in, finishing with a record of 35-47. And then last year, a lot of good players sprouted up for them. For example, Jalen Smith. He's only 23 years old, and even though he averaged a triple-single, he's shown he has great instincts and is a great rebounder. Problem is, he's not big enough to play the 5. If he gains strength, he can be a starter for a long time on this team. Speaking of long time on this team, Miles Turner has been on the Pacers for a decade it feels, and it's been great seeing him develop. He's a good shooter now, leading shot blocker, good rebounder. He's become a near perfect center for today's era of basketball. And accompanying him, you have Tyrese Halliburton, who I think is overrated. Yeah, he's a great leader, really good guy, like his personality, but I just don't think he's an elite guard. He's not even in my top 10 guards. I can agree he's a top 5 passer, but he's not even a top 100 scorer. And speaking of scoring, that's another issue for this team. Buddy Hield, Tyrese Halliburton, Miles Turner, and Bennedict Mathurin. Those are the only good and consistent scorers on this team. They have no go-to player, which works. I get it, since Tyrese is such a good playmaker. But what happens when Tyrese isn't playing? Mathurin is the only one who can make his own shot. The rest of these guys are role players at best. Bruce Brown is someone they signed in the offseason, but he's going to have a good 3 games a month. He's always either a scorer-first ball hog or a decent playmaker. He switched from point guard to a wing player so many times in his career that Rick Carlisle likely won't use him right. Him on the Nuggets being the closing shooting guard over KCP, but backup point guard when Murray sat on the bench was perfect. If he can do this on the Pacers, all their problems are resolved. That's really what this season comes down to for the Pacers. Will Bruce Brown be the combo guard that keeps Indiana's pace among the fastest in the league at all times, or will he underperform due to Halliburton not being as good of a playmaker as Jokic? This team isn't bad, they're constructed well for the talent they have, but so are many other teams. This is why I think the Pacers are the worst team in the NBA this year. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow.